nerds, and welcome to the Geek Girls Story Salon, where I talk to creatives from across disciplines and around the world about the art of storytelling. I'm your host, Jen Jackalone, lifelong storyteller and head geek in charge. My guest today is a stand-up comedian and actor, and in fact plays one of my favorite characters in one of my favorite shows, Resident Alien. She's equal parts hilarious and tragic, and I love her. She's my favorite hot mess, Darcy Bloom. Thanks for coming on, Alice Wetterlund.
Thank you so much for having me. I love your description of Darcy. That's quite accurate and very real.
Thank you. Well, thanks for coming on. I love your green background. Are you gonna green screen yourself into a board tube or something later?
I might. You never know. I stream on Twitch on a regular basis, and I use the green screen for that. And then I was just like I basically have to leave it up all the time because taking it up and down scares my cats, and their comfort is more important than anything else in this home.
Yeah.
So yeah. And a board cube, and I do obviously have a Star Trek podcast as well, so a board cube is always imminent.
Right. Yeah. I've definitely stalked all the different stuff that you do, so we're gonna cover a few things, I think. So I have heard that Earth girls are easy. Do you care to speak on that?
I guess if you probably are, honestly, if you're comparing them to, well, if we're talking, it depends on the universe we're talking about.
Fair.
But even just the easiest girls outside of Earth girls, Beta Z, you've still got stuff like Luxana Troy to deal with. I mean, that, ask Picard if she's easy.
Right. Actually, I have a theory, and I think it's a pretty common theory that Deanna Troi and Riker kind of have some kind of poly thing going on.
Right? I mean, this is the thing about Next Gen and all kind of 90s genre television is they won't give us real sex or any kind of they'll only wink at it sort of, and you're but it's so vague that you're watching it and you're going, at a certain point I have to infer more because you're just being so vague that I don't even know what I'm supposed to think.
Right. And those two always had this married kind of energy when they weren't, and but he's off banging this chick, and
it would really be on Deanna to be she'd say something like, Will, you know that I care about you, and it's in this way where it's there's more come on, you know what's up with us, and the audience is we don't. Tell us.
They just left us to put it together, and it's not my fault that that's what I put together.
No, you're not to be blamed.
Wow. I mean, you see it, right? It's not just me.
No, it's not you.
Yeah.
It's 100% not you.
Absolutely, funky poly situation. No question.
I don't hate it. I mean, and also this is my big thing. I don't know if light is bothering me. My big thing is always Star Wars, big swing, Dune, especially the film version for sure. Big sci-fi is always having this issue with itself where it's why the fuck, if in the year 2020 or whenever this was written, there are out gay people, there are out alternative lifestyles that exist, and at this point, if you're writing anything, I mean, hello. And then in your future version, everything's back to nuclear family shit, like heteronormative, everybody's male, female, cisgender, nobody's poly, and it's just most big sci-fi is like that, and it's just honestly, it's so crazy if you think about it. It's you would actually have to explain why normal marriages still exist in Star Trek's time.
Right. Right. Well, like the normal like nuclear family is actually a creation of capitalism, but
Exactly.
go down the hole.
400 years of this. And it's like, so 400 years from now, it's this exact same that holds on. It's barely holding on today. Come on, man.
I honestly, like I was sitting there with a cup for the tears of all the people crying about the lesbians in the new Star Wars show, The Acolyte.
It's so insane that it's like, I apologize that you haven't thought about this, but it has bothered me for my entire life. And it's like, of the being interested in sci-fi, and it's like that it hasn't occurred to you is deranged. Like, it's the future. There are warp engines. There are anti-gravity like belt units.
Right.
Why are people just like, and there's me and my husband and we're Christians? Like, what? Christianity isn't even around. What's the point?
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Don't do that. You have nice hair. You should keep it. Yeah, well, like it's always funny to me that it's like, yeah, Deep Space Nine had like a character that was like a main character who was basically trans.
Yeah.
And, like because there wasn't this
Wait, which
sensitivity.
one? Which trans character? I feel like there's several.
Well, I'm talking about Dax, but who are you talking about?
Dax, yes. I thought
Yes.
you were talking about Dax, but I kind of feel like many Star Trek lead roles are. I mean, Odo identifies as, I mean, his pronouns are he, him, because he chose it, which essentially is like, it's not a traditional gender idea. Like, he was like, I feel like a man, so I'm a man, which is really, I mean,
Kind
if
of
you think
wild.
about it,
That is kind of wild.
yeah.
And Luoxana Troy tried to hit it with him too.
Mhm. You gotta.
Yada. He's like,
Like,
look, I turn into a bucket of liquid at night. She's like, what? I can swim.
oh, she's like, I love bucket of she. I mean, that was a really amazing episode. I really loved. Ugh, one of my faves.
Yeah. Yeah. I miss Majel so much.
Me too. Every day, especially in this economy.
Oh God, in this economy. So, all right, like I have to confess something. You are not the first woman that I have wooed with poetry. But you do hold the distinction of being the only one that I have wooed with Bernie Sanders, and I want to know why that worked.
Oh, I don't know what you're talking about, and I'm honest. I'm honestly don't know what you're talking about. I'm not pretending that I don't remember. You have to jog my memory.
Okay, so I invited you on like a year ago. It was my first season, and I basically asked because what the fuck, why not?
Yeah.
And you were at that time, I guess you were busy with maybe your Star Trek pod or something.
I'm always quite. It's an over. I've been editing my own podcasts for a really long time. I just recently got help, but it is. I don't like it. I don't like it.
I feel that I'm the host, I'm the editor, I'm the social media person, I'm the everything. So I get it. But yeah, so it was a year later, and I'm like, all right, I'm gonna do another season. I'm gonna try Alice again. And so that Bernie Sanders meme where he's like, I'm once again asking you to.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so I took that Bernie Sanders meme at the I'm once again asking, and then I like put a shitty looking black bar over the text and said, I'm once again asking you to be a guest on my podcast, and I sent that to you. And you said, hell yes.
I'm a visual thinker. I just respond to images so much more than, and I really am I can't like numbers and letters. Obviously, I'm literate. I can do math. I can do maths, but I'm so visual that probably just like any ads work on me, especially memes. So I don't, I don't even care. I don't even care about Bernie Sanders. I'm not like a Bernie. I'm not a huge Bernie person. It's just like an ad. I need a meme. Memes are my love language.
Yeah. So it was just more like the shared cultural touchstone in visual form that kind of just.
I love memes.
Who doesn't love memes?
I mean,
You gotta. It's like you're dead inside if you don't love
I think
memes.
Odo would hate me. What is the
Um,
point?
it's like, didn't you develop written language so you wouldn't have to use hieroglyphics?
Ugh.
Uh, 100%.
So yeah, that's my explanation for that.
Okay. I was just so curious because it was such a like weird Hail Mary thing. I'm like, this is never gonna work, and then it did. So
Now you have to do all your communications with memes because I really believe I believe in
I,
memes.
I believe in memes.
Memes for
I believe
president.
I believe in you. I believe in memes. So
Meme 2024 memes
yeah,
for president because
amen.
I think the contest now that we've discovered that Biden is actually Glitch McConnell, um, should be whoever makes the best memes. I'm just
Yeah,
kidding. Like obviously
yeah.
Trump
Well,
should die on a grease fire, but
that's awfully specific, but yeah, okay.
no, it gets more specific if we
Okay,
if but
all
the
right.
NSA is listening to this podcast.
Let's
Huge
yes,
fans of me
probably.
for some reason.
Yeah, yeah. Well, we'll put this out to the aliens, like in
FBI,
the audience.
huge fans. I don't get it, but they love me.
um, but yeah. Well, that's a whole. That's again. That's a rabbit hole that we could get lost in
That's a
for a
rabbit hole
really
we could
long
get lost
time.
in. Exactly.
But so like it's funny because I did watch your Amazon special, um, and I really enjoyed it. But I particularly like I was really struck by the bit where you talk about country music,
Uh-huh.
because first of all, I totally agree with your assessment of modern country music. Um,
The homogenization. Yeah.
Yes, and like it has like the classic country music that I love and that you love um is all storytelling.
Hmm.
And I feel like modern country music has literally lost the plot.
Yeah.
Like they're trying to be so generic and be relatable, but like stories are what actually connect with people.
Right.
And
It's a mass commercialization, really. I mean, it's capitalism. It's like the everybody is it's funny to watch, right? Because it's like country music is trying to appeal to a specific audience and after what happened to the Chicks, like with their denouncing George Bush, I mean, that was kind of at the tail, the death rattle of like real Willie Nelson pre Willie Nelson country music. Not that Willie Nelson is some sort of Christ-like figure. I'm just kind of picking a random person in history,
yeah.
like the 80s, 70s, 80s.
Mhm.
When country music started to become like, you have to appeal to this group of people that listens to this radio station, and it was all about radio. And so everybody was like panicking to become the most like non-offensive, commercially viable product. And what are people going to turn up to? And it's like, well, let's look at what people it is, and like let's crowdsource our lyrics, basically. And it's deranged. It's like deranged, and I think not all. I really hate to paint with a broad brush because there's a lot of really amazing country music, and some of it's radio worthy, and there's people still making great country music. And this was prior to Lil Nas X. Um, and
Bless him.
bless him. Uh, but yeah, I was just like, I used to listen to country radio because it's funny. It's just hilarious how many songs. It's like the next song after the next song. Like I'll go on the road and put on the most. I just gave up at a certain point. I'll be driving in whatever state between whatever cities, and it's like the radio just becomes country, and you're like, "What? I'm not going to fight this anymore. I'm going to see what's up." And it's like, yeah, grab a beer, fucking hanging with your buds. You know, I don't like this man. He's a scamp, and so I'm gonna put on lipstick and get out to the whiskey. The whiskey's involved,
Whiskey.
and it
Yes,
just seems
yes.
like like really reaching
Truck. Don't forget the truck. There's always the truck.
whiskey,
Whiskey.
and it just it like it. I was talking to my friend about it, and we were just riffing, and that's kind of how the best jokes come along. And it was just like This friend specifically was like an improviser. And so when it's weird when you talk to comics versus improvisers, like this is an interesting behind the scenes comedy fact
No, hit me.
about like writing. When you hang out with improvisers, the way you do bits is very performance. Like if anybody subscribes to my podcast, mostlyfans.net, um, I do a lot of podcasts with this comedian improviser, Ben Rogers, who's a good friend of mine. And all of our bits, and this is true of like Paul F. Tompkins too, a lot of our bits become like performance. Like you talk about like a premise and then you immediately go into that scene, especially with Ben. Like he's just an improviser. So he just goes right into the scene. Like you can, like if you're a normal person, you're like, what are you doing? Like, all of a sudden this person's doing this voice like, hello, Mr. Wetterlund, blah, blah, blah. And like that's just the way improvisers are. But when you talk to stand-ups, it's like, what if this? What if this? What if this? Everything stays in the cerebral premise zone. And then things start becoming punchlines in that way. And whoever's like, it's just a different way of riffing, you know?
Yep.
So anyway, this friend of mine was an improviser, which is why that joke is so improvisational, because it was started to become like, let's start pretending we're a country artist and doing all the different versions of like, what if an alien was a country artist, like a human? I am human, normal stuff, and it was just like, oh, that writes itself.
Yeah.
And then I did two, and then I did like, I had just done People of Earth, and then I'm doing Resident Alien, and
Starting to see a pattern here.
I can't imagine. I would be really pissed if aliens came down to planet Earth and I didn't have some sort of like,
Uh,
I didn't like, I wasn't on the alien IMDb. Do you know what I mean?
mhm.
Like that's something I think about.
Well, if there's any aliens watching now, I think I think you're on their radar or whatever the alien equivalent of radar would be, probably.
Yeah. Yeah. It's funny that we always say down. I wonder if that's like sort of earthist. But it's because of gravity. Just know that
Yes.
aliens, if you're out there listening, like the reason we always say come down, we know we're a marble and most of us, but we have gravity on this planet that like kind of keeps us. And you guys might not. Probably you do, but
We don't want to assume.
you might be a space race. You might be a people just who's just roaming around. You might be an Oort cloud. I don't want to be speciesist. See,
Or
I'm
like,
great at this. I'm great at this.
oh, beautiful, excellent. Yeah, no, like that creature in Next Gen that like was a spaceship.
The first,
Right? Yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah. That was amazing. Or the my favorite, that bitch absolute, the crystalline entity. Here she comes, and she's pissed. I fucking love the crystalline entity. And then how Laura was like, I'm gonna talk to her. He's like, hold up, you and me. And she was like, I fucking love the crystalline entity.
Yeah, I feel like I don't know. I feel like we don't do weird shit like that so much anymore.
Right, right. I mean, we as in I would say popular sci-fi, which is like you get it, it's like commercialization, mass
Sure,
audience trying to
sure.
appeal to, but you have Scavenger's Reign.
Mm-hmm. Which I loved.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Scavenger's Reign is
that's the
great. That's on
weirdest thing I've
HBO.
seen in a long time, and yes, it was amazing.
Fantastic meditation on, I mean, wonderful hard sci-fi. Great, great aliens in that show. You have I mean, I mostly imbibe like weird sci-fi, so I could talk for days about like the kinds of aliens and the stuff that I read and consume. But there's another show that I'm thinking about that has like Alien Cloud. Alien Cloud. I don't know what it is. I can't remember. But I really love, have you read any or are you familiar with the author Adrian Tchaikovsky?
Yes, but I have not read.
Yes. Okay, that's fine. He has several series, and one of the series, and I don't remember the name of it because it's, there are always weird names. I wish they'd just be called the Chris series or whatever, or the Amanda. Anyway, um, it's about the one of the types of aliens in one of his series are a distributed intelligence that is not, a lot of the aliens in this particular series came from Earth DNA. Like there's a spider alien group, and then there's an octopus alien group, and then there's humans. But one of the aliens is a distributed intelligence that grew up independently in a different environment. And it's really interesting the way that entity interacts, and the way it's portrayed in the books is really cool.
Huh.
Really creepy, but also really like kind of like I like it because in a book, especially, you have a chance to talk about um, how that would work. And I think that that is sci-fi strength. Like, what if, yeah, like what if something like crazy like this were to happen, and what would it look like from our perspective, as humans who our brains make chaos into
Right,
this type of thing.
right, right. We need that order. Unless unless we have ADHD,
And then fuck it.
and then fuck it.
You can try to make it orderly, but
Fuck it, we ballin'.
I know, fuck it, we ballin'. And honestly, that's why like I want to hang out with the Q continuum. I mean,
The chaos. Yeah.
the Q continuum is like the place to be. Like I would be trying to get in so hard with Q. If he was like fucking with Picard, I'd be in the back like totes.
No.
I would throw Picard under the bus so fast. And I love Picard. But I would be like, right? I mean, what a rube. Can I just come be in the queue?
Well, look, I mean, I don't think that would work only because I'm pretty sure that Q had a really bad crush on Picard.
I know. But I could be like the fun friend.
You could be like, well, you could have them like adopt you. You could be like,
I could totally. I mean, we could do outfits together. Like it'd be great.
oh my God, yeah, little jumpers and yeah,
Yeah, and he loves costume. Q. He loves to dress up and just do all sorts of like cosplay and stuff like that. So like I could be
mariachi outfit.
essential,
Yes,
you know.
yes, definitely.
I could be his personal stylist.
See, I think you might be onto something there.
And that's why I have a Star Trek podcast, which is important, I think, to illustrate why I have a Star Trek podcast. Because some people are confused, such as the man who left a really scathing review after he listened to me on Love It or Leave It and was like really, I'll say disrespectful, because I didn't know what Pon far meant during the episode that I was on. And I was just basically like, I'm too hot to know all Star Trek facts, which is a funny joke. But also, like, I've been really frustrated for a really long time about the gatekeeping in sci-fi and within just general nerd culture that has happened. This is changing, and I'm glad for it. But for a long time, when I wanted to listen to a Star Trek podcast, truly like no reason for you to be screaming. There is screaming. You probably can't hear it because my mic is so good. When I wanted to listen to a Star Trek podcast, it was like all dudes, all cis men, all predominantly white dudes, and like, fine. But then what happens is they're all in this insular bubble of like you are comfortable in a certain way around your dude friends that you're not comfortable with to say certain things around other groups of people. So every podcast is like Ashley Judd, look at Ashley Judd or whatever. Like and like you even though you can have incredibly erudite interesting discussions where you get all your facts right, and I found the reason for that is that like some people watch these shows in a different way. The way my brain watches things, I don't catalog facts about a television show or lore so that it doesn't increase my enjoyment necessarily to know names and dates and places and people and history of, certain empires. It doesn't always increase my enjoyment. And I think that for a lot of people, uh, that's the way they enjoy their stuff. That's the way they enjoy their shit. But then there's this gatekeeping aspect of it. It's like, but the way I enjoy it is the proper way, and the way you enjoy it is stupid. Like you can't even name this. You're not a fan. And it's like you can't police the way other people are fans of stuff. Like that's so when we did our show, I was like, I want to be a show that we talk about whatever we want. Whatever we want. And whenever somebody tunes in, that's because they enjoy that. And that's it. No, it doesn't need to be anything else involved. It's just like, we want to talk about this thing. And yes, we love this thing. And if you don't think we love it, you don't have to listen.
Right. And, I mean, I think it gets forgotten. It gets forgotten a lot that, it was women that saved Star Trek, the original series. It was women with their letter writing campaigns and their fan newsletters and their fan fiction. And, Spock and Kirk were the original fan fiction.
It's for the dolls.
That's it.
Star Trek was by and for the dolls, and Gene Roddenberry was just a Lucille Ball's puppet. No, that's not really true. But at the same time,
It's a really entertaining.
it was spearheaded by women. The reason Star Trek got to air was women. The reason Star Trek stayed on air was women. And just like everything else, things get taken away. And like my thing is like, don't let people's rigid ideas of this art form that you have identified with change that part of your connection to it is special. It's important. It's valid. And we stand. I'm here for it.
Absolutely. I mean, look, I cut my teeth as a writer in the world of fan fiction. And, and now they're like, here I am. And I have like, a publishing deal and scripts kicking around LA and whatever. And it all came out of that relationship that I had with, these, not just the properties, but the people, because there's a whole community. And I think that gets ignored a lot.
Yeah.
When they're sort of coming after women for the way we, like to enjoy our sci-fi fantasy, whatever.
And I think that is really funny because it's like, it's really changing now. I think if you go on TikTok, which I do, I'm going to say way too much. The way that people who are non-cis men are standing in their beliefs and their likes and dislikes and going like, no, this is my thing and I like it and nobody's going to tell me fuck all. And especially with like fairy smut and stuff like that. Like there's a whole discourse around whether fairy smut is like, respectable or whatever. And people, and a lot of really cool and amazing voices and creators are like, I don't care what you think about what I like. And it's really cool to see because that's not how it was when I was, my young person, sort of early internet life.
Yeah, well, it's like, I mean, even like 10 years ago, that was something that you should really be ashamed of. And like,
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And I will say, like, I've been doing a lot of like what you like. I don't know if you have questions for me, by the way, because I'm just going on and on and on.
No, no, this is, I mean, if we get to them, we get to them, but like, I'm having a good time, so.
Um, I just want to say that to the fans of Resident Alien who um, are appreciating our show, I really am so grateful. Um, and to each and every one of you, like, that has been there since the beginning, except for the people who didn't like the girls' night episode. All of you can go fuck off and kick rocks. I don't care about you because we found this weird, like, why does everything have to be so, woke is really, and you're like, are you like fine? I think a lot of people like didn't like the tone of that episode, or they didn't like, there's valid criticisms to every episode. Our show is not perfect by any stretch, but like people saying like, well, why do you have to get political? And it's like so many people only realize that something is political because everything's political, but they become alerted to the politicality, not a word,
Right.
when there's when it's talking about the place of women,
Mhm.
which are
Right.
half the population.
Right. Well, it's my teenage son is fond of saying there are two genders, male and political.
Can we make merch today?
Yes.
That's
Yes.
phenomenal. Your teenage son, how old is he?
He just turned 18 and he's heading to college in the fall. And I
Thank
feel
you for your service.
pretty good about the job that I've done with him.
I'm obsessed, babe. This is so cool. I'm so happy for the world for that. That's so rad.
Honestly,
Congratulations.
like I have a lot of hope for his generation because like he's just looking around at everything about the world right now and he's just like, okay, that's bullshit, that's bullshit, that can stay,
Yeah.
that's bullshit,
I
like
know. Yeah. I have a young sort of like cousin by marriage, my boyfriend, husband, whatever, my house husband. His cousin was hanging out, and he's 21, and he came over to a family function with three women. And, like some of the older people in the family were like, "Ooh, wow, look at him hanging out with all these women." And I'm like, no, look at him. Like he's surrounding himself with he chooses to be around his female friends because as a young straight man, that's okay now. It's not weird. It's not, you're not a freak. You're not like socially ostracized. It's just very normal. And thank God.
yeah, absolutely.
Men don't have female friends. It's so,
Well, I mean, like my guy is like he's totally like cishet whatever, but like he's a magnet for all like the queer kids and like the trans kids and the whatever because like he's just kind of he's open that way. And it's just I feel like we need that.
yeah.
And
Yeah.
yeah.
My boyfriend is in his 30s, and I am incredibly blessed that I found somebody like him in his 30s. Like, because, like, I dated younger men a lot because of
Yeah.
that specific thing where it's like things don't bother them the same way. Um, and my boyfriend now is like very amenable to hit questioning his own opinions about things. Like he's a curious person who's really um unsatisfied with he's unsatisfied with the idea of like staying in one place in terms of your opinions is how I would describe it. He's just and he listens to women first. He just does. He doesn't like he's got like spidey senses for listening to groups of people that are not like him. And it's a natural thing. I was going on a trip with a bunch of female friends, and like I set up all the hotels, and then I worked really hard on it, and then they all started questioning my work like each and every one of them came back with like a new list on top of my list, and I was so annoyed. I was like, this fucking sucks. Like, just you should have done it from the beginning. I did all this work. And my boyfriend was like, have you considered that maybe they can't let you do it because they're in their marriages, they have to do everything. They don't trust anybody else. Like normally when they travel with somebody else, it's their husbands and they can't trust them to do the work. So they're like,
Interesting.
it was like, whoa. Like, well, all right. Call me sexist.
Well, I mean, we all have blind spots, and sometimes they're even in places that we wouldn't think that we have them. So that's kind of how that works. So, like, all right, I want to talk about the show a little bit because I just, don't want people at my house with torches and pitchforks and stuff. Um, but I do want to talk about. All right, well, first of all, I want to talk about Asta and Darcy and like this ride or die thing they have with each other because I feel like you and Sarah seem like you really are like very close, like IRL. So, like, that definitely comes across on the screen. Can you talk to that a little bit?
Um, I will say that I'm not a writer on this show, and I can't really speak to what Chris Sheridan's, grand scheme of this show has been. Um, but so Darcy was a character that did not exist in the IP. So Chris had a lot of freedom with how he imagined this character to be and what he needed a character like her to do for Asta. And I really think, and I hope he is okay with me saying this, that my friendship with Sarah and the way that we work together has influenced the writing of these characters because of the fact that we are so naturally close. Like, I haven't had this happen that many times because I haven't, been an actor my whole life. I'm not in hundreds of movies, but I haven't had this happen where um it's just like this uh absolute trust in this really fundamental sort of like core um like there she's a very vibesy person. She's very much into the woo woo. Everything about Sarah is like sage and she's got crystals and burning stuff and ceremony and oh, this is everything has meaning for Sarah. Everything. Like I saw this blue thing the other day and then you have a blue house. It's just like and I'm the polar opposite. Like I do not do any of that stuff. That's not how I think about the world. And so I think why did I bring that up? I think because um our personalities are such that like it wouldn't really make sense for us to normally be friends, but there is something about Sarah, and I think because she's vibesy, like she's made me believe in like other things that we can't see going on that are not, like because her chi or her aura or whatever is so simpatico with mine. It's just we just relaxed into this friendship on-screen friendship so quickly without knowing each other very well. We just relaxed, and I rarely relax when I'm working because as a comedic actor, relaxed is not really how I would describe it. Even if I'm dry, I'm still like my brain is going 100 miles an hour, and has a different kind of effect on me. It's just like, like a weight off my shoulders when she's around. She takes things from like the burden of of having to create a scene and create a like really the burden of having to create artifice. Being with Sarah is like there's no artifice. We're Darcy and Asta. There is a real Darcy and Asta in my head because of me and Sarah.
Yeah.
Is how I would describe it. So did not mean to
Like,
go on for that long, but
no. That's, I love that. That's like I've seen you guys on camera together, like at like premieres and stuff like that, and like it was just amazing. Like you finish each other's sentences. You seem to like share a brain cell or something. Like,
yeah, we've one of the early experiences I had with Sarah was on a like I think it was the TCAs for season 1. We were on a red carpet, and I'd been on red carpets before, and Sarah had not done that. I've done it because I seek it out because I have a lot of clothes, and I like clothes, and I like cameras, and I like attention. Very open about that. um, but Sarah hadn't really had that experience, and so it was it's overwhelming, especially at first. Even with a small thing like the TCAs, there's like flashes and people are yelling, and you're like, why is everybody just all yelling my name? It's weird, even though they don't know me. Uh, and this one photographer told Sarah something like, it's better. Like she kind of got that Sarah was new, and she was like, it's better if you stand like this. And Sarah hates like Sarah does not like to be told what to do, and so when she's being directed, it's very much like she's working with a director to tell a story. She's fiercely like she fiercely guards what she sees as her provenance as an actor. And in this arena, it was like this person is like kind of rudely telling her, hey, you look better like this. And she was just like, I just saw, I saw it before it happened, and I was like, no, 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 no. And so that was the two of us not really knowing each other that well, but like being like, I was like, hey, I got you. This experience is weird, and I'm going to help you. So just follow my lead this whole time.
nice,
We'll just do this
nice,
together.
nice.
And on the first episode of we shot the pilot, I lost my passport like on the second day. And
Oh, right, because you guys are in Canada.
yeah, and I really panic when I lose stuff. I'm very bad at keeping it like where was the last place? Like I'm like, oh, everything's ending. The world's over. I'm gonna die. Like it's a problem. And Sarah saw that in me and really jumped in and was like, hey, we're gonna do this together. Like it's we really have filled in for each other's like lack
Right.
from day one.
Like, yeah, I mean, that's like the ideal that you love to hear about, and instantly. Okay, so when we make that detective show where you're like,
Yeah.
Hira from the BBC, like she's got to be your partner or whatever, right?
So is that a thing? Because I could talk about that. We could talk about that. I like that.
That's
Young Vera, because they tried to
yes.
do young Helen Mirren from Prime
Uh-huh.
Suspect, and
Uh-huh.
that was a rare flop from the Brits. But young Vera,
Mm.
hmm.
I could see it.
But why on this on God's green and blue would you ever cast a non-Brit? They're cast Brits for everything.
Right.
They cast
No,
Brits for
it's
everybody from
true.
Boston. Why would you cast?
They won't even actually they won't even have non-British writers actually. Like
Yeah,
this was
like
a
they would never do
yeah,
that. I'd
no, they
have to
won't.
have something really. I'd have
No.
some real dirt on the crown.
Yeah. Right.
Guess
No,
that's where
no.
I start.
Right. No, well, it would have to be like American. It would have to be like, it would be like Mayor of Easttown, but like,
Yeah.
but more of that Vera energy.
Yeah.
Like get some like make it Bayou, because then it's still swampy and you have moors and like,
We just use the Treme infrastructure. I like this.
this is what I'm talking about. You think about it for 2 seconds. Absolutely. But yeah, no, like you guys doing like a buddy cop thing. I think I'm here for that.
Yeah. I like it too.
Yeah, 100%. All right, let's do it.
Okay.
I mean,
We have work to do, guys. Sorry, the podcast got
yeah,
short.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, I mean, I'm not overcommitted or anything, so like,
Right, same.
yeah, yeah, it's pretty. I mean, it's pretty funny though. Like, I've definitely like since I started this podcast, like I've like saddled myself with like three more projects, and I don't know when or how I'm going to do those.
Oh my God, amen. I know. I just, the other day I had a tour and I sold all this merch that I didn't think I was going to sell.
Mhm.
Um and so I was like, ooh, merch. Like I've always wanted to like I love designing products. I want to make my own makeup line. I want to make my own clothing line. But I was like, let me start small. Yeah, it's never going to happen.
Right,
It's never going to happen.
right.
Because when I tell you, I spent 12 hours working on a temporary tattoo design of my cats. No reason. Nobody asked for it. Nobody's clamoring for that. And I dug in.
No,
Like everything takes a million years for me to do. So I don't know why I think.
it's the ADHD rabbit hole. Like, I mean,
Yes, it is.
I make my money as a graphic designer, so I can usually kick out stuff like that pretty quickly. But then for me, it's like, okay, but I need to have more choices, and so
Yeah.
I'll end up like,
Oh yeah.
you know, doing
100%.
a dozen iterations of the same thing. Yeah, but okay. So all right, so how do you go about designing your stuff? Do you work in like a computer drawing program or Illustrator or something, or you
Yeah, I have the full Adobe suite.
nice? Yeah.
But I don't have a real aesthetic. So, let's see. Here's a version. Here's an early version. Actually, I can just do this. Save copy. I think I can like copy it and paste it or something like that to your. I'll just
Okay.
open it up. I'll share screen if you allow me.
Let's see. Uh, okay.
Oh, it's letting me. Okay, so that's it. I originally made this using a photo of my cats.
Okay.
They were actually doing this pose.
Okay.
Like I found them on the bed, and I did. So I traced this all in Photoshop on my iPad to make the
Okay.
various coloring and stuff like that. And then I took that image, put it on Photoshop in the
Wow.
desktop, and
Okay.
then I got assets of ribbon, and I just sort of started twirling them around, and then I like didn't like that, so I went back and I traced by hand the drawing and then did the ribbon drawings by hand. And then to
Wow.
get the
Okay.
watercolor, I went in on Photoshop and did
Mm.
Photoshop watercolor. Like
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
needlessly complex.
But that's no. You have to do it how it feels good.
I mean, this is punishing. But
No, but
it's a lesson hopefully and things.
but are you gonna get that on you? Are you gonna get that on?
I'm gonna get a temporary one. I probably won't
Okay.
do any tattoos in the next, I probably won't do any because the thing about, one of the things is like you have to get up earlier because I have to do makeup on your tattoos to cover them up over and over and over again. And if I got tattoos, it would look good, but I'd have to have a lot, I feel like, because I'm really pale, so one would be glaring. And then you got the problem of you can't go in the onsen when you're in Japan, which is now suddenly a consideration to me, apparently.
Okay. Is that because that's a plan or a bucket list item or?
You know, I went to Japan like 2 months ago. A month ago, I was in Japan for a couple weeks, and I was like, "Yeah, we're definitely moving here. Like, it's not a question. Like, it's just the kind of thing where I think anybody who goes there feels that way.
Uh-huh.
Um, it's a fantastic place, um, but I do want to go back there as frequently as possible because it's magical, and onsen is an experience that is like pretty cool, and you can't go in if you don't have if you have tattoos. So yeah,
Well, I'm set then,
there you go.
but I'll have to leave my husband outside. So
Yeah, and that's you will anyway, because most of it is like pretty divided by gender, which you
right,
worry about when you're there. You're like,
right.
what happened with a non-binary person? And then they're like, shh, put on this kimono.
What would you do as a non-binary person? Would you like flip a coin? I wonder like how you would deal with that.
I think you do the same thing you do when in the bathroom here. You know, you
Right.
just be like, well, I'll do what I want.
Yeah, I should say this like I'm obsessed actually with Japan.
Mm.
Uh,
Same.
I spent a year like researching and writing. Like I wrote a full length manuscript about female samurai because that was a thing.
Yeah.
We didn't really know that much about it until like the last 20 years or whatever. But yeah, and my publisher was like, "We think this is too niche." I'm like, all right, whatever. So I have it.
Niche don't know. So that's amazing. Um, I really think there's a hole in the marketplace for uh geisha, like geisha historical fiction and current fiction, because geisha is really different than we think it is. Like it's completely different. Like I think our basically what we've been fed, like a westernized idea of like what geisha is and what we've been fed is like
Yeah,
super it's
it's not super
reductive
accurate. Yeah.
and inaccurate. So um there's stuff about like the like memoirs of a geisha, for instance, is like really dumb. Doesn't make any it's like not accurate at all. So yeah, there's a I mean there's like a I mean lesbian geisha would be amazing. There, come on guys, let's get on it. We
Well,
want to read this stuff. We want to escape.
I mean, look, if you're talking about feudal Japan, like that culture was bisexual as hell. It was real, like it kind of blew my mind when I was researching it, and it was like it was weird if you were only into one gender. Like,
Yeah. Which
that,
again, feudal Japan, guys. Feudal Japan was like that. So why in space in 700 years? Okay, I'll stop.
oh no no no, don't feel bad.
Hill that I will simply die on.
Yeah. Do you know people ship Asta and Darcy? It has a ship name. It's Dasta.
Oh my god, it has a ship name?
It has a ship name.
The SS Dasta?
Yep. Yep.
I'm
The SS
so
Dasta.
Oh my god, I did not know that.
Yeah.
Where is this happening?
I went because, for science, I went and looked on AO3, just because I was curious, like, if there was
What's AO3?
Archive of Our Own, which is sort of like the central hub these days for where people post their fan fiction. Like back in the day, like it used to be fanfiction.net, but so now it's Archive of Our Own. And I did a little search, and there's not tons and tons of it, but I did find some.
I absolutely get it. It's here's why I really think that makes sense from the people who ship. Okay, these two people are incredibly codependent. Like we're working off of a archetype of a codependent relationship that I think both Sarah and I have experienced once or twice in our lives, where like we don't like it's we're overly involved in each other's and there's very little boundary.
Uh-huh.
There's very few boundaries in place to um protect, I think individuality and choice in this friendship, and it's written that way to create conflict obviously, but it really sets up like a I think with Darcy especially, it's like why is she so obsessed with Asta? And I think we're constantly explaining that on the show. Um, and there's a lot of like subtext and there's a lot of backstory with Darcy that we don't really always see, I think. Maybe because I'm not as good of an actor as I should be. But Darcy's trauma and her upbringing and her whole life have been kind of like not super chill and not super supported, and she's had one person in her life kind of always be that person, and it's her her family is her person, right?
Right.
Is Asta,
Yeah.
and she has felt that relationship slipping away. So what a codependent person does in that circumstance is become really possessive, and that's what Darcy's been doing for the past few seasons. So I think that's what's the kind of in-universe explanation, but there's totally room, and I completely understand the shipping, because yeah, like why is it very clear that it does seem like
But
Darcy's in love,
yeah, yeah. I
or
mean,
they're somewhat in love with each other.
yeah, it's like the the relationship could be summed up by the phrase, but unfortunately they were both heterosexual.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, they live together.
Yeah.
When Elliot and Darcy broke up, you know, horribly in season 2, she goes directly to she just moves in with Asta. You know,
Yep.
her rebound is her best friend,
Yep.
essentially.
Hmm.
So yeah, I see it.
Yeah. It was just it's very fun. It's fun to see like something that leaves room for interpretation like that. I mean, everybody likes things spelled out all the time, and sometimes I don't think you need that. You know, sometimes I think it's cool to just let it be whatever you need to
It
get
is
from
cool to
it.
let it be. It is.
But that's just me.
Me too.
So, do you have any secret? I know you can't like spoil anything, but do you have any like secret hopes for Darcy's future?
Uh yeah, I mean, it's pretty wide open. Um this next season is going to be um I don't know if I'm allowed to say how many episodes it is. So
Oh, okay.
there's going to be an opportunity, I think, to see her overcome some stuff,
Mhm,
some of her demons.
mhm.
And we already saw her making some sacrifices in season 3. So I think she's maybe I hope that she's gonna see like the selfless like acts of service piece of just, you know, not needing to be the hero necessarily, but just like um maybe simplifying things for herself a little bit, like paring down a little bit, not being so like not being so um I don't know, needy with Asta, but also just yeah, just being of service to her community a little bit and seeing what that feels like
Yeah,
is
well,
maybe how I would put it. But I don't we actually haven't seen anything. We have no idea what they're thinking.
okay. Well, that's cool. Like I said, I'm not asking for spoilers. I'm just asking for what your hope is.
You're asking for spoilers, and I caught you. I caught you, and you're bad.
What have you heard?
I already got distracted by something on my screen.
Heard.
100%.
Yeah, that's the life of the ADHD brain.
Mm-hmm.
And then I've got a little side of the autism brain too, so that's super fun because then I can remember like all kinds of shit from shows, but nothing useful at all.
Yeah. I mean, it's a catalog.
It is.
It's a comfort. It must be some sort of like comfort in the catalog.
Most definitely.
That's awesome.
When Game of Thrones was on, my boss used to be like she's like, "All right, I'm watching this and I don't understand what's going on. I need a cheat sheet." And I literally sat down and made a PowerPoint with like all the houses and like
So help. I mean, look, that's a work relationship that's being fostered by your autism brain, and your autism brain also helps you with its. I mean, it's a comfort catalog. You know, you created
100%.
your own comfort catalog. That's useful.
100%. Absolutely. So, all right. So I like to do a little speed round at the end. of things because I've taken up enough of your time. Um, this is basically I just want to know some questions about. Now we're talking about you, not Darcy as Alice, and I know there is a little distinction there. So, um, which characters from the show you would like to do various activities with? It's super fun. So, pick one character from Resident Alien that you would want to have a drink with.
Mm. Kate.
Now, would it be the same character if there was an
I don't drink.
right? So, okay.
It's like a
So you're gonna.
am I gonna have a tomato juice?
You're gonna have a tomato juice. You're gonna have a tomato juice, and she's gonna have whatever. Maybe out of respect, she will also have a tomato juice because I feel like
Oh, then it's no fun.
then it's no fun. Somebody's
Let
gonna
me
be
get Kate drunk. So I guess I would say, maybe,
well. Then it's a question of who's the most entertaining for you. Who would be the most entertaining for you?
I would say Kayla, the Asta's cousin, because she's always complaining about how she doesn't ever get out of the house
Ah,
to the point where it's like, Jesus Christ, okay, let me fix this for you.
now what if there was a barroom brawl? Would it still be Kayla?
Yes, actually, there's a lot of pent up rage with Kayla. She's really, and she's a lawyer, so it's like,
No. Okay, that's right. I forgot that.
ready to go.
So if you had to,
If there was a brawl, she would be like taking notes, be like, boom, 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 assault, assault, not assault, like kind of great.
right?
Keep that around.
So if you had to go to and find yourself sitting down at a table full of lawyers for some reason,
Yeah,
negotiating something, it would again be Kayla.
yeah. Was that one of the
It is one of the questions.
What? What? That's one of the questions?
It is. It is. I'm not joking.
If you had to be at a table with lawyers
Yes.
and you want one person from the show with you?
Yes.
Yeah, Kayla. That's crazy. Wow.
It is. That's funny. I've never had it happen where it was the same answer for all three of the first questions.
All right. Well, yeah, I mean, I guess if I had to pick somebody else for barroom brawl, maybe Dan. But then he's been in, war, so you don't want to re-traumatize anybody, but he really projects strength
Hmm.
in this fun way.
That's true. Okay. Now, what about if you were like at a high stakes blackjack table? Who would it be?
That's Dan.
That's Dan.
I hate to now I feel like I'm like being lazy, but like that would have high stakes blackjack would be Dan. Possibly Liv, but like Liv would crumble with she's not great at that social pressure, Like she's good at job pressure, but social pressure, no. And Dan is cool as a cucumber.
Right.
Ugh.
Right. Yeah, we like that. We appreciate that. Now, who would you want to help you look for your missing cats?
Oh wow. Definitely Liv. Deputy Liv. Deputy Liv would get it done. She wouldn't freak out. She probably, would she'd find them in 10 seconds flat. I mean, there's this funny part in our in season 3 when we were talking, or maybe it was season 2 when we were talking about having to burn, no, it was season 3, having to burn the shirts. And I just did this little thing like, Liv, she's gonna go from house to house, like shirt. And it was like this fun thing of the lore of like both Asta and Darcy have known this person their whole life, and like they know how she is. Like she's really dog with a bone about stuff. And so I just did this thing like like they're just like, oh God, yeah. And her like obsessive compulsiveness about stuff like that. So I really think I would go with Liv.
Good choice. I think I agree with that. Okay, last one, and I think I probably know maybe know the answer to this, but who would you make awkward excuses to not hang out with? Like, you don't want to be mean, you don't want to piss them off, you don't want to whatever, but like, you just really don't want to hang out with them.
Max?
Okay, that's fair.
I don't
Like,
think Darcy likes kids at all.
no, no.
Very weird around kids, but she might
Yeah,
not even make awkward excuses. Let me think.
no.
Max or the sheriff?
The sheriff. That was actually what I was thinking.
Yeah, I mean,
Right,
wait, this is Alice. Oh, wait, I
right.
went back
This
to
is
Darcy.
you.
Okay, this is Alice. Okay,
Right.
so characters I personally would make.
Yes.
Mm, maybe Harry.
Uh,
Like, I feel like I, as a person, would be like, no, he's so great. He's so great.
what's funny is like, sorry, just to go like off road for a minute, but um, Darcy's whole like infatuation with Harry, like it was sort of weird, or not weird, but it was just funny to me that it was like this completely unavailable guy.
Yeah.
I was that was totally what was attractive about him.
Yes, 100%, which I completely identify with, having been like when I was in middle school and I first started watching Next Gen, I was like, obviously at first it was Wesley because he was also a child and I was a child. But then later in life, I was like, who's this Data guy? Like I had a total Home Alone doorknob for Spiner because I was like, he is like so unavailable. He can't understand,
Right.
but he
Yeah.
can make it work. Mwah,
Well,
chef kiss.
and as we know, he is fully functional. So
That's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm talking about.
there's that. And hold a conversation.
Willing,
Mm,
willing and able.
yeah. I'm starting to see the I'm starting to see it from that angle. Like I definitely projected onto him. Like, you know,
He's also willing and able for projection. He doesn't
yes.
care. He's not going to get it. It's something about like unavailability, and this is like getting into the weeds of like,
I don't know, let's do it.
but like something about the unavailability is like, I think you're first prone to think, oh, it's because he's emotionally unavailable, and you'll never have him actually love you. But actually, it's that he's emotionally neutral and emotionally bulletproof. Like
Which
my
safe.
makes him safe. My opinions, my anger, my emotions, like my, being there or not being there, um, I'm allowed to experience all of it. And he's not going to be like, I want to kill myself. You know what I mean? So those of us with like codependent family members, it's
Right.
like, that's very cool. That's very attractive.
Not needing anything from
Not
him.
needing anything from you.
Right, interesting. Ooh, okay. I'm gonna be thinking about that now.
Yeah.
All right.
So I guess it would be, let me see. I haven't really answered this question as Alice, who I would make awkward excuses not to hang out with. As Alice. Oof. I guess Judy? Maybe. I love Judy. I love them all so much.
They are like they are awesome. Um, like Judy peeing in the potted plant would probably like
I can't do that to Judy. Like it's not really even like I would love to hang out with Judy. She's so cool. Who's not cool? Like the mayor of
actually
town?
yeah.
The mayor of I can't remember the mayor of the other town.
The other town. Yeah. Silver something. I don't remember what it's called.
That guy or mm, there's the whole mayor's office. There's
Or the gray, the half gray, who's the deputy. The weirdly hot, but kind of a jerk.
yeah, he's a jerk. I guess. I mean, Elliot, because he'd probably bring his new girlfriend, and I'd be like,
Uh,
but I'm Alice.
but you're
But
Alice, so
honestly, no, but like, what, like, ugh, honestly, when I watched that scene with them at the laundromat, when I watched that back, I texted the actor that plays
Mhm.
Justin Rain, who plays Elliot, and I was like, well, now I'm shipping them. Because they look so good together. Like the girl who played his new girlfriend is like, first of
Right.
all, I was like, when she came to set, I was like, okay, you didn't have to do me that dirty. Like she's far and away way hotter than you needed to get somebody. Like she's so beautiful, like
Right.
stunning.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, she's pretty
and I
gorgeous.
and then I saw them on screen together, and I was like, they really look happy. Like it's just like, oh no, it's a whole different show that I'm watching.
oh, yeah,
I don't know. I don't think I can answer that last one.
fair enough. So do you like separate like yourself from like when you're watching scenes with yourself and the other characters? Do you separate? Are you just watching Darcy, or are you like
Yeah.
analyzing yourself?
I'm analyzing myself generally, and it's really tough. I hate it. Like I don't. I'm analyzing my performance. It's really it's not often that I can step outside. I think maybe my scenes with Sarah and my scenes with Alan, like it's a little easier um because both of those actors have a way of forcing I think just forcing you to confront like like is this a real world we're watching? Like Harry's a real person, you know, Asta's a real person. So I think both of those characters when I watch and I've had the most scenes with them, like I know that Harry Vanderspiegel exists. I know that Asta 12 Trees exists as a person. So if I know that and I can see that, Darcy starts to exist.
Hmm. Interesting. I love that because it's different for everybody with 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 actors.
Yeah. I mean, when I'm in a role like I can watch myself in Silicon Valley. That was incredibly, like I would call it like uh, reeled in. Carla was a really reeled in and not like me really, like my attitude, my affectation, anything like that. So I was really playing a character there. Like, so that's a lot easier to watch. Also, the character I played in Mike and Dave Need Wedding Dates was a caricature. It's a lot easier because you're like, I'm watching a cartoon that's shaped like me.
Right, right.
But I'm close to Darcy.
Yeah. Has she taught you anything?
Um, yeah, I mean, I think she's reminded me of things like that I already knew intellectually, but it's sort of cemented.
Uh,
Um, that likability, especially like um as currency with men is worthless. It's a worthless currency, you know? Um because playing Darcy has been the joy of my life, but I've seen a backlash from people. Weirdly, a lot of people think is like I've seen comments on I guess I don't know what it is, IMDb or something, Instagram or something, and people really think that Darcy's like a homewrecker. And I don't like she's there like she's constantly trying to break up marriages. It's like she kissed the mayor one time. Like it's literally once. Like it's not an ongoing thing, but people are like I think certain like family values folks are like really like she's a homewrecker. It's just like and I'm like and then I look at my performance, I'm like, is it me? Well, who's doing that? Like who's saying it? And then I was like, wow, like at the end of the day, I'm really happy that I'm playing this character to the best of my ability and that the people who get the message and that the people who get a different message, I'm almost like, look, good. I'm glad you're getting that message. Like it's almost like getting the block reveal list when you tweet something. You're like, okay, I know how to get rid of you. Like, yeah, some people are not, this is not for everybody. And I, as a comedian and a performer, I'm not for everybody. But sometimes you're sensitive, so it's hard to relinquish that. And you're like, oh, but I want everybody to like me, and it's like it's worthless. It's pointless. It doesn't help anybody that you're trying to help. It doesn't help your writing. It doesn't help your creativity. It doesn't inspire. It's just worthless trying to be liked and accepted and celebrated by everybody. So Darcy has helped me like really, really lose that to the point where I'm like a little too comfortable.
Is there really such a thing though? I mean,
I've been on stage before at comedy shows where I wasn't doing very well and I was just like in the silence, just kind of like, what else is new? Oh, what's this? And I was like, and then I was like, wait a minute, you are doing a job. Like you have to entertain these people. You can't just stand up here for 10 minutes for no reason. Like, oh, I'm a little too comfortable. But yeah, I think I'm good.
so that's our show, you beautiful nerds. Thank you for tuning in. Check out the links in the description below to follow Alice on all her social medias and stay up to date on what's happening with Resident Alien Season 4. Stay hydrated. It's hot out there. Take care and take it easy. Stay geeky.